Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I am CryptoVatsik. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. These are just my opinions. If you do like this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and please give the video a like as I really appreciate it. Let's go. Okay, today I'm going to cover technical analysis on MANA Decentraland. Okay, and we're on the 12-hour on Binance right now. So we were trading in the upper 50th percentile for some time, but then we were also trading down here in the lower 50th percentile, okay? Meanwhile, all we were really doing from this major swing high and swing low is testing demand down here at the lows, okay, with these wicks down into the green zone here, testing demand, coming up, testing liquidity above, and then coming back down, really confirming if this demand's going to hold that level. And it did. It was able to hold this level of demand for quite some time. But ultimately, with these swing highs here, lots of wicks just coming into liquidity and just ultimately being rejected at ultimate resistance being the upper band of this range. What happened? Why did this break down? And ultimately, without getting too fundamental, I just stick to the chart. We had our monthly May low here. Okay, this was essentially our safety net, so to speak, right? And I just definitely didn't want to see green get lost, but when we came down and we lost the EQ of this range, we had this minor bearish consolidation right here back in August. That was the key breakdown for me, right? When we saw this breakdown from here and we ultimately started deviating further inside demand and really just kind of steady lower lows, it was really was not sitting well with me at the time. And in conjunction with that, we had this level of supply up here that got rejected twice. And our key SR, meaning support resistance level that at the time was support, was the bottom band of this range. This was that key SR level that we would like to have seen hold if you were bullish, if you wanted to be bullish, okay? And so ultimately what we saw was right here was the critical point for this, okay? We lost it and it was rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 times on the underside, bearish retests. And what's happening is price was coming down into this area of demand, okay, with this wick essentially scooping up that demand and essentially not able to hold the level. The demand was not strong enough, okay, and then we broke down, of course, as we all know, and made a new low in comparison to our May low at the time. And then what we got is a critical SR flip, okay? So this previous level in green being our support, just simple SR theory, is now resistance. Came up twice, wicked inside, bearish retests with our swing failure pattern right there. Now I find when you get a situation like this, it's always good to clean up the chart and start fresh. So let's do that right now. Okay, chart's cleaned up. Let's zoom out now to the daily we're on, and let's look at the bigger picture of what's really going on here, okay? So rather than get caught up in the lower time frame stuff, I want to bring your attention to the logarithmic chart because sometimes I feel like it gives a bit of a clearer picture. Because we have to look left to the data that we have at our fingertips, okay? So we had this parallel channel from this swing high, this major move up here, okay? We had that parallel channel right here from the top to the swing low to our swing low down here, okay? So what happened in here is we created this overall macro channel, and we are now sitting at the bottom band, in theory, support of that lower bottom band of the channel. Meanwhile, we had this EQ, the equilibrium, right here, okay? We had this area of bullish consolidation, and we'll make that in a green box because that was a critical area, okay? This is essentially the origin of, I talk about origin breakdowns and then origin of breakouts, and this is essentially that origin of the breakout, right? We had this bullish tightening of the EMAs, tightening of price candles, and then ultimately an explosive move to the upside, right around the EQ of this level. So now we come back to over here and we can see where did we find support for quite some time, right? We found support in that area that I was talking about previously for quite some time on this overall EQ. But ultimately we found support at the EQ here, and once we lost it, we came back down, we found new lows, and where did it stop? It stopped temporarily for now right at the bottom band. So with this price action that we're currently seeing, we've got fair value gap in here, okay? Basically from this previous low that was lost, all these big red candles down to pretty much down to the current high. We've got a fair value gap, an imbalance in price action right now, meaning we have a lot of upside to play around with potentially within this bottom 50th percentile of the range, okay? And so obviously, when you get down to here, your expectation is you want to hold the low as support, and ultimately I want to see this bottom band hold. So maybe another retest, fine, and come back up and really start playing in this zone here, which could be a pretty good trade, right? And we'll get into the lower time frame stuff in a second on how I'd play that. But the reason why I say I want this bottom band now, especially this black line to hold, is because we've seen our market structure break, okay? This big red candle invalidated by these up candles here, okay? Retest once and then twice. So now this expectation is that level needs to hold. We got two tweezer bottoms right here on those two candles at the bottom, okay? So our expectation is this level must hold now. However, we are pinched with this area of resistance right here that we will make red. Okay, and if you can see that, we're pinched right there with supply above, trying to fight to break that supply level. But ultimately, as you know, I plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? So if things got really bad, I'm just going to go left and I'm going to look at that next key area. Okay, so we had this swing high, which was the top of this high right here, okay, down to the swing low. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag that out. We're going to bring it down to the swing low, and we're going to notice a similarity with this range as opposed to the one above. Okay, and so what we've got here in the upper band is essentially we had that origin of the breakout from this accumulation. We came back down, we tested it. Yes, we lost it, but then we came down to the bottom band of the range, right? So your first expectation would be to bounce somewhere potentially around the EQ. And so if we were to lose the bottom band of this range, of this guy right here, if we were to lose the bottom band of this range and start coming down into the one lower, I'd be targeting essentially the EQ of the previous range from this consolidation right here, okay, swing high and swing low. And it would just be my target at the time. Doesn't mean I think that we would bottom, have our macro, generational bottom there. It's just, a trade that I'd be looking for, or potentially just expect to go long somewhere in that area, waiting for price to come down to my level, which would be right around 27 cents and change. But it would mean that I have to be invalidated first, okay? So again, invalidated if on a break of that low. We'll make that solid line. A break of this low right here that we currently have, okay? But keeping in mind on the high time frame on the daily here, I would say that this would be invalidated on a reclaim of this level here, okay? So basically we had this low from right here, okay? This was the area that it really came back down, chopped below, deviated slightly a couple times here. But, these are day candles here that we're actually trading below this level for, with a bit of a short squeeze and SFP here, right? So, that level to me, though, is pretty critical. And I would start to change my tune if we were able to reclaim that. But I think we've got a lot of work to do before that potentially happens. Okay, let's go down to the 4-hour and get into some lower time frame stuff to see what's going on here. Like I said, we've got this pretty large area here of resistance that we're playing around in. It really just ultimately comes from this break, okay, of the structure, okay, right here when we lost this, the origin, essentially the breakdown here, we lost it, new low. So that you're just dragging across, and yeah, we're getting basically SFP after SFP, you guys. I don't really care that we're making higher highs here because ultimately it looks weak. We've got a large wick here. We had deviated above this level, immediately rejected, and now trading underneath again. So there's just nothing in here yet to tell me that this is going to be very bullish. However, down below, we did break some market structure that is really key, okay? So right here, we had our origin, the breakdown here, came down, made a new low, had our swing high, okay? Another new low, swing high, okay? Another new low, but really ultimately an SFP in comparison to this low, which gave us our tweezer bottoms on the higher time frame. Now we're on the 4-hour though. But ultimately we came up, we made a higher high right here. This is a very bullish engulfing candle probably on the daily. I think this was the bullish engulfing right here. So this one, very powerful move to the upside, but hadn't made a higher high yet. Okay, so really nothing confirmed yet. However, then on the next following higher high, we broke that market structure. Okay, we took out that inefficiency there. We came back down. We retested this level, this market structure break, and we actually tested it twice. So we tested it right here. Okay, then we came up right to the origin of the breakdown here. It got rejected, okay, but your expectation was if you're looking for a long, that break in market structure, okay? And I'll make it very clear here in yellow, right in there. Okay, so that is where you're looking to enter. Hindsight's 2020. You had a few chances here to enter, but let's look at what we're seeing now. So personally for me, the chart is building a case to push further to the upside. However, I wouldn't enter right here. Okay, so essentially we have this area down here, that market structure break tested, probably let's say 2 times at this point. Okay, so I would love to personally get another chance to get long and then enter on that breakout retest there. But I might not get that. But the reason why I like it is because you've got a clear invalidation. So if you did get in down here, you'd have your clear invalidation below these lows, below the upper band. This thick line here is the upper band of that range that we were talking about previously. And so you got clear invalidation. So if you want to get long, you know where to put your stop loss. However, if we don't get that, let's go down to the 1 hour. Okay. Yeah, personally, this to me looks like we are building pressure to the upside. We had our low here. Okay, a couple of retests down here to really ultimately scoop up that liquidity. We had a higher high. Okay, took out this inefficiency with this high here. Okay, came up further into supply up to this high. Okay, rejected at that time, but ultimately retested this level of support. Okay, so a minor SR flip here that we saw, but ultimately the key thing is another higher low. Sorry, so higher low, higher low. Okay, and now we're working on a higher low. We had that wick here. But we're working on a higher low here, okay? And so I don't want to see, what I don't want to see is from this low here, I don't want to see a new low, because that would essentially be a break in market structure to the downside, and ultimately your bearish retest here, and then maybe I get what I was hoping is to get in down here if we see something like that. It would just provide better R&R in my opinion, because when you're entering up here, essentially you're entering pretty close to resistance. You're assuming a breakout of resistance up here, okay? If you're entering in here, you're basically assuming that you're going to get a breakout, unless you're just targeting that high, right? Unless you just take the trade from the low here to the high, which is, sure, you could go for a few percent kind of thing, but ultimately I'm after that bigger, let me just clean up the chart, I'm after that bigger R&R, okay? So like I said, ultimately I'd like to get in down here, might not get it, but we've got this level, okay? So we got this level currently right now, right, as support. So, possibly come in here, quick deviation, and that's our higher low in comparison to these guys here. Okay, and then, you'd really want to carefully watch these highs. You'd be really expecting a breakout, right? So that's why I don't like trading off of assumptions. I like to wait for that confirmation. So for me, I'd be more comfortable entering down here somewhere in yellow, ultimately clear invalidation. And if we lost yellow, then I'd be looking for the same thing, just on a retest of the low, right? So looking for something like that if we got it. So it really just depends what it's going to do. And I don't know if you can see it, but what we're doing here, let me just clean it up, make it easier to see. What we're doing is we've got this lower time frame range as well in here, okay? So we have the range high from the swing high. We've had a couple deviations. I consider these deviations because they're immediately rejected and we're trading now back below, okay? But we've got the EQ here as that macro support. So this confluence there with the EQ, with the break in market structure, with the multiple tests here, is respecting it as support. Okay, so you got nice confluence there. So that's why I'm more comfortable getting in closer down to here. However, if we, like I said, if we start to push to the upside and regain some key levels, I'll quickly change my tune. And one of that level is being right here, the origin of the breakdown right here, upper band of this range that we're struggling to get above. Okay, if we have a flip here with confidence and we can regain this level and ultimately hold it, then same thing. I'll just be looking for the same sort of setup like this, but just further, just higher up, okay? And then I'd be targeting up here, target the highs, essentially, confluence with this low. And, you could take some off on the way up kind of thing. And if things really look good, start targeting up higher, right? However, we haven't seen that confirmation yet. All right, I want to thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. The engagement, the likes, and the comments. Let me know what you think. I want to hear from you. If you do enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting out a lot of content into the bull run. So thanks again. You can also follow me on Twitter at CryptoVatsik for more frequent updates. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.